Part 8, Reliant. We're finishing up hull wiring for the flashers and the impulse deck. I'm going to create a 3D coaster to house the warp crystal, and I'm not going to do a tutorial, but I'm going to show you a demonstration of creating 3D shapes inside a program called Blender. Additionally, assembly of the photoetch shuttle bay doors from Paragraphics using ultraviolet resin. All right, Tuesday. How's everybody? Oh, geez, Wednesday. How's everybody doing? I think I lost a day here. So trying to finish up wiring for the primary hull here, and mainly it's the flashers. We've got 5 on the top and 6 on the bottom. So these are 0805 SMDs. The 2 on this side are green, then we got a white one up front, and then we got a couple red ones opposite on the other side. And each of these is being wired in, and then sort of, there you can see the resistor buried underneath the heat shrink, and carry that up and connect it to this one. And then equally on the other side, we got that red one there, heads up here, connects to that red one there. You can, and follow the red wire. That comes over here where we attach it to the front one, which is white, and then that sends it to this bundle, which then gives us the connector, which is sticking up there. We'll sort of fold that out. So there's the connection for that. So now let's test it. I pulled out our board, which you should remember from earlier in the series, where we were testing out the trinket. And so what we're going to do is I've got a alligator clip with negative coming off of this board, and all of the black, or excuse me, all of the negative wires for all of these 5 LEDs we've connected to the strip lighting. With an example being, here's 2 of them going to there, because the negative is common throughout the ship, so that's where we get that. So from the trinket board, we're going to connect, negative to there. And then from the flasher circuit, I've got this, these are all the resistors that were in line for the flasher circuit, but we're taking power before the resistors. I'm going to connect that to there. And then our little dangly wire here, which I just showed, we should connect it to this, and that should get us the power. We've got the power. So you can see the lights are all flashing along with the board over here. Well, obviously not the strobes, but you can see the red lights flashing on the board, and all these lamps are on the same circuit as that, so they're all doing their thing. They're flashing and they're happy, and they're in good company, because I'm happy and I'm flashing too. Good thing the camera's not pointed at me. So there we go for that. Next step, I think I'm going to deal with the impulse / warp crystal, this thing right here, and I may consult the 3D printer to create an enclosure. Hang on, I'll think about this, but for you it will be 1 second. It makes me look like a fast thinker. Okay, so this is a program that's called Blender, and I'm not going to get into any of the training tutorials, etc., but it allows you to make 3D shapes inside of a 3D program. And so I'm just going to quickly sort of demonstrate the process of putting together a simple shape and then 3D printing it. So I'm going to make a cylinder, and it looks like that. And then I want this to have 64 vertices, so make it a little bit rounder shaped. The radius, although it says it's 1 meter, I'm going to change that to 3, and for me it's going to be actually 3 centimeters. but that gives me that. And then the depth I want to be 1.5 centimeters, so I'm going to bring that down to 1.5. And so there you see we have this shape. And it's, oops, you can see kind of spin around and that sort of thing. You can zoom in a little bit. And so now what I'm wanting to do is we are going to switch modes to where we can edit this. And I want to select the top layer here. And then I want to inset the face. So we're going to move this. We're going to move this in. I don't remember how to do this. Oh, come on. It's not cooperating. Okay, there we go. So we're going to inset it that far. And then we are going to scroll up here, select this thing, and then we are going to extrude, but we're going to go down. And that, I believe, is, let's see here. We want this piece to be on top. I apologize, I'm kind of thinking as I go along here. So if that is on the bottom, I might need to extrude the top as well. So let's actually pull this up a hair like that. I'm going to hit a deal here and do wireframe. So that looks good. So let's flip this over and do the same thing. Let's select this. Then we're going to inset the face. Only about that much. And then we're going to select that face and bring it down. Okay, so let's export this as an STL, put it into a Reliant build here. And what are we going to call this? We're going to call this Crystal Surround. Good name, huh? All right, so we do a process called slicing, and that takes the 3D piece and or the shape and slices it up into layers so that the printer can do its magic. As you can see here, the printer is not doing its thing. This is live action, by the way. Anyways, we'll get this fixed behind the scenes and get the piece going. And then I'm going to jump ahead here. This is the piece after it was printed. And I got ahead of myself. I already light blocked it and attached the LED in the middle there, which is what that little hole was on the top. 5mm LED, blue and amber, and common ground. And then this is the exposure area that's going to face up to the crystal. And that will, here I'll demonstrate this. We got the leads here, so I got 12 volts of power. Obviously, a resistor's been attached, so we don't have to worry about adding a resistor in line with the power supply. But anyways, clamp that there, and then you can see the blue part of the LED coming on And the camera, of course, is overexposing. There's lights off, there's lights on. And I don't know, maybe I can adjust the camera here. No, that doesn't help very much. But anyways, photography, love it. So let's try the other one, the amber light. And there it is there in full light, and then cut the lights and you can see that's glowing. And so that's where we are with the crystal. Trying to keep a campaign promise, we got some paint down. Well, we got primer down. So after hitting let's see here, the top and bottom hulls with a adhesion promoter and then also a gray primer from Krylon, we got it there. We're showing mistakes and we're fixing them, and we can head on down to the next step. As you can see, it's a kind of a real close-up shot. It's kind of a little gritty texture, but that's what you want. You sand it off and it's powdery, and then you can move on. Photo etch. It's time for a little photo etch activity. We have a paragraphic set for this particular model, and we are assembling the replaced shuttle bay doors. If you see the Reliant in the Wrath of Khan right after its first battle with the Enterprise, it escapes going, flying away from the Enterprise, but there's a great shot of the two shuttle bay doors, number 1 and 2, on the back of the, it puts part number 10. You're familiar with that one, right? So in this case, we've got a couple of pieces to play with. I'm going to glue this together with a 3D, no, not 3D, UV resin. This is called solar res. And basically this stuff is syrupy, like real syrupy. It's like medium or thick CA consistency. You can see some right here on this little palette. And but the nice thing is that you can play with it. You can get your piece in there and stick it, and it's sticky enough to where you can move it around and play with it and get it exactly where you want it. And then when you're ready for it to cure, you just hit it with the UV gun here. It's UV flashlight, but it's fun to call it a gun. And then it cures, and then it's hard, and then clean some paint off my fingernail, and so then you're good to go there, and you can continue on. And so that's what we're going to do with this. So this piece is designed to wrap around the door. This is the door, and this piece is a sort of a vertical piece. Well, it's vertical over here and horizontal over here, but basically it wraps around this piece. And you can see these little scored sections here. Those are like a multiple bend point for a piece of photo etch. And when I get these, I like to get something round to sort of bend them around, because if you try to do it on your own, sometimes you'll get one of these little creases that will it'll bend more than the others, and you'll end up with kind of a V shape instead of a curve. So if you have something metal to just wrap this around, actually it doesn't have to be metal, it can be anything. In this case, I'm just using a Dremel bit, sort of a little grinder, but that's kind of fits the radius that we're trying to achieve here. So to do this, I just kind of set it right in there, and then just use your finger and kind of bend it and hold it real flat. And then when you're done, you can see it makes a nice round shape in there. And then you can kind of just sort of fine tune it without you don't. The photo etch, when you're bending it, you don't want to obviously do it multiple times, because that'll end up breaking it in half. So before we get this attached, let's just go ahead and bend the rest of these so that we get this nice round shape. And then this is a little bit smaller of a diameter, but we're just going to use the same method to kind of bend it like that. And then our last bend is right over here. We'll just do the same thing for that one. So now you can kind of see the shape forming, and then like I said, you can fine tune it. But as we get closer and closer, you can see we're getting close to that design to put right there. So now our first step is we are going to attach this top section with the solar res. And so what I'm going to do is this rests right, I don't know if you can see that, there's a little, on the back edge here, there's a couple little gaps. There's one big gap, and so this just fits at a 90-degree angle, but it goes right there. And so once I can get my fingers to work and hold this in place like that, so you can see I'm holding that piece in there. So what we're going to do now is we'll get a toothpick and we're going to take some of this solar res, except it keeps slipping on me. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit of this. We're just going to drag it along this edge. See that? Just like we would like a thick CA glue, except this takes the pressure off because it's not going to, you know, I usually use Kicker for the thicker stuff because it doesn't usually cure in the time that I'm fiddling with it. I will say personally, the other reason this is great for me is that I hate the smell of both super glue, CA glue, and Kicker. I would rather smell lacquer, personally. Okay, so we got this sort of squeegeed in there. And so now, I'll show you this in a minute when I have a hand free, but I'm going to cure this sort of off camera because I don't want the UV to activate this little puddle. So I just clicked to turn on the UV light, and it usually just takes, I don't know, for this amount, probably 10 seconds. And so now you can, oh, whoops, that didn't work. All right, try that again. Maybe I'm rushing this because we're on camera. So let me get back to I don't know what's with my fat fingers tonight, but try this again. I'm going to roll this. I'm going to apply a little bit more down below. And we'll go hit this again. So maybe I'll count to 15 this time. Okay. All right, that worked a lot better. So now you can see we got this piece attached, and we got that coming down the side, and now all we got to do is just start bending and attaching. So we'll take this next piece, and you can see that we can just wrap that around that corner. We can get it all the way over to there. And now let's just, in the same fashion we just glued this other one, we'll put this resin right into here on this joint. And the nice thing is once we get this all stuck down and it's sort of holding itself together, which is sometimes a challenge with the CA glue, to get a photo etch assembly like this to a point where you can handle it, and then fill in the little gaps and little seams. Once it's together and holding itself, then it's a lot easier. So let me take the phone over here, and I'm just going to take this light and just shine it right on this resin right here. I'll go back over to here. And now you can see that one's settled down too. And so we'll just continue on with this joint, which is the bottom of the shuttle bay, bottom of the door on the shuttle bay. Sorry if I'm off camera. Gotta watch the screen and what you're doing. Okay, so if you want to watch this again, it is a pretty exciting blue, isn't it? And the nice thing is you can use these ultraviolet lights to check to see how clean a restroom bathroom is. Just flip the lights off and turn it on, and you can see if they're cleaning. If you're so inclined. Okay. Okay, so back over to here. And so then we get to the inevitable seam where these two are going to come back together. And I think I would like, let me see. Okay, so I think that works. And so we have this last edge to put together, and actually that came together pretty nicely from a seaming standpoint. Oops. I wonder if this stuff saw some blue light because it's kind of hardening up. But we'll go ahead and get what we got left here. There are some holes and slots in here, and you don't want to get the resin inside of there. Although, since it's photo etch, it'd probably be easy to clean out with an X-Acto knife after we're done here. This stuff is fairly forgiving. I have not played with it to a point to figure out if you need to get rid of it if there's a solvent that will do its thing. That's probably a good Google search. Well, it'll get rid of it before or not react to it in a toxic fashion, because who wants that to happen? And who wants to experiment? It's like, I wonder if this gas is toxic that's coming off of it. Okay. So, all right, let's hit this one with the blue light. Okay. So there's the basics of solar res. And assembling a little bit of photo etch for the USS Reliant. So before we head out for the week and put a video together for you, let's throw that back in the drawer. And then, let's harden this. Otherwise, I'll stick my finger or my elbow or something in it. And if we just make that, then it's hardened. And that stuff's fun. I picked that up from Boyd at TrekWorks. And I love it for photo etch. Also, filling windows. We're going to be filling all the windows on the Reliant after we, like step almost the end of the steps, we're going to be doing that. So, in terms of the model, we did get some paint down like we had said, and now we are doing final LED stuff with the hopes to finish up the inside. We light blocked all of these guys, which are the flashers at the various points. We did print the 3D model, and right now it's hanging right here because I light blocked it and the paint's wet. But we just ran black paint all the way around it, so when we get to a point, it's going to be sitting right there. And we have the blue and the amber LED wired up so we can attach that to the electronic driver board. And then we've also mounted 2 red flickering LEDs, and those are going to be, this is the top of the saucer, so these are pointed right at the impulse engines, which used a little bit of blue marker to, that's where the lenses actually are. So we lined up these LEDs. These are 5mm flickering LEDs, kind of like those little candle lights, but they're red for the impulse engines. And so we just cast that beam of light to there and then to there. And so that's kind of where we are going to call it a week. So thanks so much for tuning in. Subscribe if you're so inclined. That would be awesome. That'd be super fine. And then also hit the like button, and we'll be back at you next week.